Hello everybody, it's me Chaz Large back with another Fix-It video for you, and on the bench today we have an HP laptop. This is a model number TPN-Q, oh sorry no it isn't, it's an HQ TRE 71025. Doesn't mean a lot to me, it's presumably an HP laptop. Made by HP, and it's got a big screen. It's a Core i5 processor, and the fault is it don't work, it don't power on. So first thing to check, the customer has actually done a bit of diagnostics themselves. So there's a bit of a do-it-yourself repairer, and they've tried another power supply, and they even removed the battery in the hope that that may fix it. So basically it didn't, and they said, I'm going to throw it away. No, don't throw it away. Let's see what we can do, see if we can get this working for you. So first little thing I want to check, as I always do with the power supply, is just basically see that it's giving out a voltage, which should be 20 odd volts I believe. So not quite. No. 19.5 volts, lovely, that's what we like to see. 19.5 volts, right. Next thing to check, let's turn the meter off before it beeps at us, is to plug it in and see if we get any indicators. Power connector, oh there's the power connector, and now on the side there is a little LED, which hopefully if we plug this in will indicate. Oh, I just realised, let's have a look on the overhead. The actual pin is bent. How about that? It's slightly bent. Anyway, let's go back to here so we can see if we get any little light come on when we plug it in the side. And yes, there's a little light that's just appeared, which you probably can't see on camera. Let's turn it to overhead and have a look. Yeah, you can just about make out there's a little light on there. There you are, I'll get the shade in right so you can see there's a light. So far so good, that means power's getting into it. Let's see what happens when we press power. Now it's got an SSD, so I was listening really for the fan starting up rather more than anything. Can't hear any fan, nothing appearing on the screen. Quick little torch visit, see if that shows anything through it. Nothing. So I think the power isn't getting any further than that. So power doesn't seem to be getting any further than there, so we need to delve inside and have a little look, see what's going on, see if we can find out why there's no power getting through to the rest of the unit. Now, I've never opened one of these before, but I'm guessing, right, so we've got some screws which are still partially undone. They look like they are Phillips head screws. Yes, they are. So we'll take that one out. Three screws. Now does the bottom come away from the top? Judging by the fact that there is a score mark here where somebody has put a pry tool of some kind into there, I'm guessing that's the bottom comes away. So let's get the pry tool in the same position, so if there's any more damage we can blame it on the customer. Right, it seems to pop out. Are you there? Ah, just seen a little clue here. There's one of the feet has been pushed away, so there are 2 screws hidden underneath the feet. Should really have checked that, I suppose. So let's undo the other one. So that should now happily lift off. There it is. Wonderful. Quick little look. Any damage on there? Not that I can see any damage, so we'll pop that to one side. Heat sink is to there. We've got both feet there. So, power socket is here. Here'll be the power socket, which, to all intents and purposes, looks like it should go down here. Okay, so that looks like display. So, yeah. So the battery goes in here. Part of the power regulator circuit there. Choke. The ribbon cable connects, which, ooh, that's a bit ugly the way that's drive is connected. I don't think that goes in there, to be honest. That looks really bent. Don't like that at all. That's ugly. But who am I to argue if that's the way it was designed? So let's just leave that off for now. In fact, actually, I think before we do anything, just in case we have any damage, we'll take the SSD out. God, horrible! Look at the way that's bent and twisted there. So okay, let's get that over there. Well, just looking at this socket, seems to be underneath. Screw which spins and spins and spins. I'm sure that shouldn't do that. So does that mean that the There it goes. I'll get it. It's broken underneath, probably. Means where the... Yeah, it's probably been lifted up or forced up. Hold that bit of plastic together there while we unscrew it. Okay, over there. Well, the fact that we are getting, see that little indicator that we saw down there is connected to the socket which is under this. That's been broken, so has this been dropped on this corner and damaged this, so it's only getting as far as that and nowhere else. So we really need to take this out, don't we? Yeah. So over this side we've got 2 screws on the bracket. On this side, well, yes, there is another screw there. So I think what we'll do, I think we'll disconnect the screen. Let me keep hitting the camera. So we'll disconnect the screen. Just lift that off gently. Oh, now is that the power? Yeah, that looks like that's the power connector. So that looks like that's where the power's coming in. Okay, so maybe we don't need to take the screen off, but that screw mount there is definitely busted. We'll deal with that later. Let's just put the screen back on for now. Screen connector under that. So we should now we've identified that, we should now be able to see power on there and see if it's actually coming in anywhere. And we put the mains adapter in. Right, so you can see now definitely the little light on there. So that means we should see, if we go ground on one side, so now we should be able to see if I put negative on here and positive on these 2 pins, we should see 20 volts. Well, 19.5 anyway. So that then should be going to some form of regulator, and we've got some big chokes over here. Millivolts. 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 Nothing seems to be getting any kind of hate these glasses. I can't see. So where do I? Right. It's all millivolts everywhere. What about down here? Just double check I'm still reading 20 volts. Yep. That's ground. It's a 1.5 ohm. Do 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 do. Don't seem to have any core voltages anywhere. Definitely should be some voltages somewhere. 2.7 on the other part of that. That's the battery feedback. Charging feedback. So where does it go? It can't go just through lambs. That's a capacitor. All the regulator circuits on the other side of this motherboard. Beginning to look like it, isn't it? Oh, there's a big diode over there. Let's just go on there. No volts on there. That might be the reverse protection diode. Just double check I've still got 20 volts. Yep. What's that? I think all the regulator circuits on the other side of the board. So I think a further strip down of the motherboard is what we need to do to get into here. Let's power that off. Have a little look first and see what we need to do to take it out. So we're going to take this motherboard out. What we need to do is to disconnect the screen, disconnect the power input. We'll disconnect the drive, that's the keyboard and touchpad. We've got the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth there. We've got two connectors there for other things. The fan. Right, okay, so let's start disconnecting chassis screws, just in case you've never taken a chassis out. Usually, quite often, not always, there's like a little arrow marked on the PCB. It says this is the one to undo. If you don't see the arrow, don't undo it. And also you need to beware that some screws are different lengths. as you can see there. So make sure you keep them separate, or draw a little plan, whatever's necessary. Thankfully, I think on this side what we can do is all the long ones are on the right, all the short ones are at the back. Well, that looks like all of them. A tentative little lift. Something is preventing it. There's like a clip or something is holding it in place. Or is it just where it's on the edge of the board, the edge of the chassis? Socket, a USB-C socket. Definitely doesn't seem to be any screws, so maybe it's just that's where the socket is into the chassis. I've pushed it underneath there. So very gently. Oh, look at that. And the other thing I forgot to do is put on my anti-strap. Oh, never mind. We have another ribbon cable over here, of course. Look. How can you miss that one? There we go. So, there is the motherboard. Quick visual inspection required, just in case anything is jumping out at us. Any chips with big holes in, or stuff like that. Can't see them. Alright, so as that's the power connector, let's see if I can get this into a position where you can see what I can see. We can see it together. So there's the power connector. Focus to there. I'll try and hold it in the same level, otherwise it'll go in and out of focus. So there's the power connector there, and it goes to through connectors to that. There's the power circuit underneath. Oh, that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. Right, it's another day, and I've had to abandon my view of the underside of this circuit board. It was just too difficult to try and work on this, looking at this side, getting a meter on it, looking at that side, getting the camera in the right place. We can now use this to inspect the board a little bit closer, which is magic for me because my eyesight is awful. But as you'll see, it's actually quite good. For a little cheap little camera, it's actually quite good. And so therefore we can actually see quite well the actual bits and pieces on the circuit board. Now I'm hand holding it at the moment, so therefore it's not going to be absolutely brilliant. So I will make a little stand for it. I know you can get them, but I've got spare bits and pieces. I'm sure I can make them. Anyway, I did have a look, visual inspection the other day with a loop, an eye loop, and I was most interested in this little chip here, which had what appeared to be a hole in it, but it turns out that it's a letter M, presumably from the manufacturer. So consequently it wasn't anything to do with that. We've got a big diode here, that wasn't short circuit. Capacitors there, they were both all okay. There's a choke there, that was okay. Basically all the components, the main components around the power supply section, all seemed to be checking okay, and continuity wise was checked out as well. So I had to go back to the drawing board, and basically what I think may well be the problem is what I discovered when I had a look at the top part of the board, because what my thinking was, this all circuitry is all working, perhaps it's just not being switched on. And you've probably seen a few other videos out there where people have found faults with the actual switches, the power switch on a computer. So I had a little look on the top of the board. So let's get this on here. Let's move the main circuit board over there somewhere safe, and we'll have a look on here. Bring the camera over here, and I'm not 100% sure this is going to be the cure. Right, so having focused this, the power switch on this board is, let me just turn it over and show you. Well, you can probably remember from when I started this video, it's just here. Okay, so it's a little switch here, and it clicks to, so it sounds it's okay. So I had a look at this a little bit earlier on, before I started recording again for the second time, just to have a double check of this switch. And this switch is on this little circuit board here, and I was going to start to take this apart, and as I was going around it, I briefly brushed this ribbon cable, and look, the ribbon cable is not held in place in this little clip, and the clip is opening and closing, so I'm only assuming that this clip is at fault, this little connector, because if that's not being held down there, or this is not being pushed in there properly, it should go in there, and that should hold it down, and that should hold it in place, and it doesn't appear to be doing so. That's very, very loose, and the ribbon cable can move in and out. So I'm just wondering whether that is the fault. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of Kapton tape on there, and hopefully then be able to check the continuity of the connections, just to see if that connector is making connection. Alright, let's get a bit of Kapton tape on here. Let's just push that back in again. I have to just peel that back a little bit from this bit here, so I can check the continuity. So now we should be able to check continuity between this part of the ribbon cable here and this end of the connector here. So switch the old meter on into beat mode. Check. So we don't need to see the meter, we can just go by the audio side of things. So let's put that on to that first ribbon connection. So that's there should be that one. Oh, it's that one. Back to front. That one's okay. That one's okay. I think we've got a good connection. That one maybe not. Oh yeah, that one we have, yeah. Press it down. No, that doesn't seem to want to make. And that one should be the end one. Let's just double check. Yeah, that's definitely working. And that one isn't. So, methinks that this connector here is the root cause of the problem. Fingers crossed, of course. Let's peel that captain tape off for a minute. I just want to double check that the actual ribbon cable is actually okay. Let's just grab a bit of that captain tape again. Roll that down there. Meter back to beat mode. That one to there, and it was these ones at the end that wasn't. Right. So the ribbon cable is okay. First three, we've already tested those. So the problem we have is repairing or replacing this little edge connector on here. That's obviously been broken in some way, and that's what's stopping it from working. Let us see if we can take this circuit board off here. That one thankfully lives out of the way. Wonderful. And we've got this one. That screwdriver's a little bit too big for that, so let's go back for this one. Nice big flat driver. So sometimes they fold out and flip in, but that is definitely no good. That's definitely not holding it on. Now I can do one of two things. I can either replace this ribbon cable with wires and solder it straight on, or I can see if I can get some other form of connector, perhaps from a scrap unit, and I've got a few scrap bits and pieces that I may be able to take that from. So I think that's worth having a look at. Secondly, I've got obviously a model number and a circuit board, and may be that this board itself is available as a replacement part, in which case that would do the job. But the actual switch itself interestingly enough, is something I was just going to have a little look at. It's nothing more than this, can't quite get it over there, that little rubber pushes up on there and makes contact between well, there it is. Yeah, just on that edge there, there's a tiny little switch there. Yep, switch seems to be okay. Alright, it says on beep. Yeah, so the switch is okay. So we're looking for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 way ribbon socket. Let's see what we can find. Hopefully we can delve into something and find a equivalent sort of socket on a circuit board somewhere. Back in a bit. Right, well, I've looked on various circuit boards I've got and I cannot find an equivalent to this socket, this clip down socket. So my plan is going to be this, and that is to bypass this ribbon cable when the socket goes in here. Let's put it back over there you can see, with some ribbon cable that I've got spare. So I'm just going to cut off a piece of 6 strand. I'm going to take this socket off here and then I'm going to bend that round and hardwire it onto there, onto the main board, which sits like so. In fact, that clip there is also very there. In fact, you can see on this end of the ribbon cable, that clip is more of a definite click, whereas this one is not. Now, given that I could be searching for and may not find one of these sockets, I think replacing this socket, or just bypassing this socket with a bit of ribbon cable temporarily, a good old-fashioned wire ribbon cable. Having said that, those connectors are very close together. Yeah, not sure it's going to do the job. And go to all that trouble just for the sake of finding that it may not be the answer. I think it is, because that's where the switch is, and that's where it certainly looks like it. Okay, just let's have a quick little look at it under the old magnifying lens. It's almost like is that upside down? Has that come off and then been put on upside down, I wonder? I think it has. I think somebody else may well have been here before. I can see now. You can now look really carefully at it. You can actually see this edge here is still there, but this edge here is broken off. So I'm wondering if, and that's back to, that was on upside down. Let's see if we can get that back in there. And hold that in place with a bit of Captain tape. I think I'll get a bit of fresh. No, it should be alright. It should be alright. Make it slightly narrower. Let's just remove that motherboard again for a minute. Put that under there and put that big screw back. Right, let's go back to our continuity test. I know that one should go to there. Let's try this one because that's the one that wasn't. Yeah. They're all making connection now. They are all making connection. Right, and we can see that this board is easy enough to take out if necessary, if that doesn't hold. So let's do a reassembly job with the motherboard. And we've got a ribbon connector there, but oh, that's the hard drive. We'll leave that out. That's hard drive. Solid state drive. We'll leave that out for now. I'll just double check that everything else is in. Give that another press down to make sure it stays there. And we'll zoom out. And we will turn it over. Old camera, and we'll get the power cord. Plug that in. still have a light, and we have light on the power button. And we should have, hopefully, yay! Post! It's posting! We fixed it. Let's turn it off. There it is. Oh! Success. So, it would seem that whilst it gave all the appearances of it being a fault with the motherboard, what it turned out to be was this ribbon connector here on this little board. On this little board, the actual connector had broken. Now, whether somebody had broken it in their efforts to do something else with it, I don't know. Could be that they tried to take it out, ripped it out, and didn't realise there was a connector. But that seems to be held in place firmly there now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another bit of Captain tape over the top of that. Because I think the customer would like to have this back working whilst I source a spare part for it. So if I can get that pressed down onto the main board there, and then press that down onto there as well. I would constitute that as a temporary fix. The customer may well be happy and doesn't want to wait for spare parts, in which case they have to run the risk of that coming apart again. But there's obviously somebody who's been into this, because the battery had been removed before I got it. So next little step is to put the battery back, which goes there. So I've got 1, 2, that screw doesn't go anywhere, that one comes out, that one comes out, that one's broken. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remount this back onto here, then I'm going to apply a little bit of glue to that bit there, just to give it a bit of stability. Screw out for a minute. Wonderful glue, this E800. What I like about it is the fact it's got a little tip in it and a pin, so it never dries out. It takes a long while to dry, but when it's dried, it's usually super strong. Just put a little bit over the top of it as well. So best it's going to give it some anchoring. My guess is the customer wouldn't want to change the battery just for a broken tab. But you can blame whoever it was that had a go at it for breaking that tab off. Hold that in place while we screw the screw down. Then we'll pop the solid state drive back in. locks under and drops down. Again, it's got little tabs on this ribbon, little tabs on the side, you can see that you have to put into place. So put the tip in, slide it in until it drops down. If necessary, just with the tip of a screwdriver or tweezers, just make sure it's sat in there first. And that just holds it in place. Crappy bit of wiring on that, but there we are. Don't know how that managed to get like that, but there we are. So, one other check. We shall open it up. It might have some power in the battery. Yes, we've got power in the battery. It might throw a little wobbly. Right, CMOS reset 502. Enter to reboot the system. Bum, bum, bum. A bit of a power cycle there. HP please wait, that looks a bit better. Spinny logo at the bottom. Looks like Windows hasn't loaded correctly. Let's try restarting once more. Touchpad works. The customer was happy for me to do a complete restore. No, don't need to. There it is. Alright, so I think it's... No. Yeah. Lovely jubbly. Right, we have a working PC. Right, we don't want things starting up automatically, do we? Ooh. See what it's running. Winver 1909. Cool, blimey. That do need updating, don't it? Let's do a shutdown. Right. So there we are, one fully repaired HP laptop, and very pleased am I with that little repair, albeit a temporary one. We will get see if we can get that part ordered for the customer, but in the meantime the customer's going to be happy because they got their laptop back, and they can carry on and use it. And if we get the part, you know, it's going to be a quick 10-minute, take the bottom off, change the board, put the bottom back on, and away it should go. But that was all that was wrong with it, was just the power button was not making power connection. Always wise to sort of check that first, I suppose, these days, because that's more than one I've had with a power button failure. Not one of these, but there we are. So there we go. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Cheerio for now. Thanks again. Bye bye.